Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to Mismapasion, YouTube's premier channel for all things women's football, and the UEFA Women's Champions League has arrived at its halfway point, and with some group standings beginning to solidify, let's take a look at match week number 3 in this edition of Champions Corner. A running theme of this week's round of fixtures has been of entertaining draws, and one of the matches that best exemplifies this is the group of death encounter between Bayern Munich and Ajax, where the Germans were hosts and got their encounter off to a great start with an early goal from Schüller off the back of a great Bayern attack in just the first 2 minutes of the game. Bayern were in total control of the entire match and threatened on more than one occasion to leave Ajax in the dirt, even after the unfortunate injury to Eriksen, who hopefully has not suffered anything detrimental. But for a time, it seemed that Ajax would just be solely focused on trying to weather the storm of Bayern's superiority, and that was up until the end of the first half, where Chastity Grant managed to sneak in a goal to draw the visitors' level and effectively hang on for the rest of the game. Despite the host's best attempts to retake the lead, Ajax held on to share the points with Bayern, and special mention must go to young Ajax shotstopper Regina van Eyck, who was sturdy in between the sticks despite the early concession of the call that was mentioned before. She was imperious for Ajax and was instrumental in keeping the visitors in the game with some impressive saves to keep Bayern at bay. Continuing in the so-called group of death, Paris Saint-Germain played host to Serie A champions Roma, with the hosts still in search of their first points in their UWCL campaign, and never mind, they were even looking for their first win, and to attempt that in the game against Roma would be a tough task to ask for, and thankfully for the home support, the team were up to the task, as despite Roma starting the game in their standard scintillating style, PSG would open the scoring after a handball in the box gave the burgeoning host a penalty, which Captain Gero stepped up and dispatched the shot, and the home side would go from strength to strength and double the lead just seconds into the second half. And despite a failed attempt at a penalty and a scintillating strike by star attacker Giacinti, the Giallorossi were ultimately unable to bring things back level, and come the final whistle, PSG had secured their first points of the campaign in what was an overall impressive victory for the Parisians, who are now only 2 points off the summit of the group of death, which makes some really enthralling football in the remaining games of the group stages of the Women's Champions League, at least in the group of death of course. And speaking of Paris, Real Madrid were hosted by Paris FC, with both teams winless so far in the UWCL campaigns, with the visitors being in more need of a positive result off the back of their recent performances both domestically and continentally, and you can check out the domestic side of things in the most recent top 5 that we released just recently on this channel. And if you're well aware of Paris FC this season, then you know they aren't the ones to follow the script, and it only took them the first 5 minutes of the game for the Parisians not only score once, but twice, to shell-shock Real Madrid and present them with a mountain to climb so early on into the game. As always, the emphasis on scintillating attacks paid dividends for Paris FC, especially against a side like Real Madrid, who despite managing to draw a goal back thanks to Mola in the second game running for her, they are slowly becoming a crisis club, at least in terms of their on-field performances. Los Blancas are undeniably struggling off the back of some injuries to key players like Linda Caicedo, which can then be attributed to their substandard performances, but they do possess a team that should be more capable of matching and, in some cases, actually surpassing the efforts of the opposition, as showcased by their second half performance in this match against Paris. A lot more is needed from the players and the coaches to help salvage what is left of what has become an evidently poor season for the Madrid outfit, and hopefully there can be concerted effort behind closed doors to arrest these topsy-turvy performances and be more consistent should they have any slim hope of making it at least into the knockout stages of the Women's Champions League. In other games that took place in match week number 3, Olympique Lyonnais maintained their 100% start in their game against SK Brann, who, despite the loss, can now claim to be the first team to score against the French side in this season's UWCL campaign. But in all honesty, the 3-1 scoreline did flatter Brann in terms of their level of defeat, as OL for some reason appeared to be deliberately in front of goal to be just shocking and lackluster, which is unlike them in their domestic league where they consistently put up crazy scorelines with at least 4 goals in their favor. My hypothesis that maybe they don't want to blow their entire load in the group stages and want to leave just enough hunger to maybe decimate the opposition in the knockout stages. But it's just so weird to see because it's not as if the opportunities to score are scarce, but who knows. maybe it's all psychological. But moving away from Lyon, and Benfica claimed an impressive 1-0 victory at home over an uncharacteristically and comparatively poor Eintracht Frankfurt, who, again in the previous video of top 5, had come off the back of an emphatic victory over Hoffenheim. And this victory for Benfica takes them to second place in their group behind none other than Barcelona, who themselves posted an emphatic 6-0 victory over Rosengard to also maintain the 100% start to the campaign, much like Olympique Lyonnais. And finally, two entertaining draws between St. Pölten and Slavia Prague, as well as Chelsea and BK Häcken, remember them, were played out respectively in that they were the tactically entertaining highlights of the match week, as neither team in both matches gave away enough for the other to gain an advantage whatsoever. But particular praise must go to Hackett, who continued to impress, not only with their big wins but also their big performances, particularly here against Chelsea, where they definitively kept the Blues at bay in an astute defensive performance that any manager across the world, men's game or women's game, would be proud of. And this performance was instrumental in keeping the Swedish side unbeaten in their group campaign so far. And with game week number 3 of the UEFA Women's Champions League now in the books, here are the current group standings, with the usual suspects now just one win away from qualifying, and of course the infamous group of death keeping true to its name based on just how congested the positions currently are. All it takes is just one loss for Ajax and one win for PSG, and they can immediately flip sides. It's just that crazy. But who do you think will ultimately qualify for the knockout stages? What was your match of the week, and what did you think of the matches detailed in this video? Feel free to leave your thoughts on these questions and any other thoughts you may have in the comments below. And make sure to like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.